I remember my first principal, who was a first-year principal, pulled the four of us at Fordyce aside, the new first-year TFA teachers, and basically said, look, you guys are Band-Aids. It's either you or a long-term sub who's never taught before that probably has no business being in a classroom. And it was a really important message to hear. Like that was the reason we were being brought in. And Teach for America has different footprints in different places. In some places, they might not hire the professional teacher because they can get a cheaper TFA recruit. And that's a different situation than what we watch.
Yeah.
Maybe they're expanding a charter network, and the reason they're able to do so is because they can get injected new core members to fill those spots. And I have much different feelings about that versus I was very welcome in our town. They were very excited to have us. It was a very cool, positive experience, including the reception. So that was the messaging coming in, is like, hey, you need to be the best Band-Aid you can be. And that was where my starting point was with that messaging, which I think was really important from a humility standpoint. A second story is I remember leaving to, I'd met my now wife, moving across state, who also did Teach for America. And
where did she do
she originally started in Marktree.
There you go.
I met her first time.
Shout out Rachel.
Going for doing a half marathon near Marktree and stayed in that area. So it's small world, and we have those.
Wait, what half marathon did you do?
It was actually in Wynn, where I ended up teaching. Okay. So it was a half marathon there. So the different running overlaps here. But my point with the story is that I remember both myself and another core member telling our students, and then for me, this is actually up when I was teaching in Earl, because I'd already moved closer to Rachel in that sense, and saying hey, we're taking a different job. And one of the students just walked out, and I really that leaving conversation was a really hard thing to do. And anytime you leave a school and you tell your students you're leaving, that's a hard thing when you've built the connection, built that community. But I remember that student circling back, and later in the day, just saying look, it's really hard to keep hearing that teachers that we care about and have really been we've had good experiences with are leaving, and we're staying. And I think when I look at alternative licensure, and I look at Teach for America, and I look at these students in these under-resourced communities, which is on the summary and mission statement of TFA of where they're serving, they deserve better than Band-Aids, right? They deserve better than just, new teachers, whether it's through Teach for America or another alternative licensure. And there's an indictment on the education system that we have created a pipeline that the most resourced and supported schools typically get the most professionalized and experienced teachers. And the gravity pulls towards those. They pay better, they support better, they train better. And then schools and communities that are under-resourced get newer teachers, less experience, or teachers who have even struggled in other places, and now the only jobs they can find are in these other communities. Teach for America, adding to that pipeline, adding to that turnover, is a very valid critique, and students deserve more than that. And I say that as someone who feels did really well and really taught well and built really good classrooms even in those early years and worked my tail off to make that happen. At the same time, students deserve the stability and that long-term investment from their teachers too, which is something I still think about a lot. So I think about that conversation with that student and how they were really generous in being open with me about a critique that I think applies to the organization more broadly.